Everyone, RemanX here with a special message about ISOs. We're going to start with a very quick message. Make sure you're farming controller ISOs. They are probably one of the most important characters to bring up in level. The controllers don't always have high hit points, and ISOs are a way to make them healthier, stronger, and survive more. So start with those. If you're wondering what to farm every day, click on your lowest ISO controller, start farming those, and keep a steady supply. We're going to start talking about this subject because we have had an alert made at the last strike time that there is going to be another level of ISOs potentially coming soon. And with the new content that is dropped in the game, we have to at least address some of the characters that potentially deserve it and prepare you for the ultimate cost. Let's talk about something that a lot of people probably don't understand. And that is that over the course of a day, you actually get an extra level set of refreshes for your ISOs to farm. So make sure you're trying to farm your ISOs and check on cores frequently, because you do get some extra free refreshes for your ISOs. So let's start there. Next piece of the puzzle is, so what's the difference between level 5? What characters should be brought to level 5? And so I think it's going to be a little bit of subjective. Like, what are you using every day? And the idea is something that the new raids, knowing that I have a substantial amount of my roster at level 80, the .3 Greek raids are more difficult than you can get through easily with just level 80 5+ red stars on your characters. So there's something missing. A component of that is probably G15, but I'll warn you that I have a few G15s on my roster, and that made just a little bit of a difference, and not as much as something else that's probably coming to the game. So I know we said don't bring anything past level 3 for now. It's time to talk about the characters that have value for level 4 and have level 5. So what I will say to you is the value for level 5 ISOs has the most value as a skirmisher. So if you're looking at a character and you want to bring them up to their full potential, some characters that are skirmishers have the most value, and we're going to talk about that right away. Skirmishers have the best built-in value at level 5 with the additional focus that you get. So we'll take a look at my Carnage at skirmisher level 5. This extra focus is a product. You can see the 1270 711 at the bottom here is a product of his skirmisher, and that is important to allow him to do some of the functions that he needs to do. One thing you have to be very aware of is he is able to strip buffs. He strips 2 at level 5, and that is something that comes down to the ability for me to hit auto on a lot of my U7.5s and now into the Greek raids. That being said, you have to take a look at your roster and determine what other values there are. Now we're going to talk about something else. There's quite a few characters. You'll see that a lot of them are still at 3. And so when level 5 comes out and the new tier comes out and level 5 has to be taken into consideration, it is a long and lengthy farm. It's also a lot of ions. So we've been talking about ions for a long time, but we're going to talk about something else. If you are pushing those .3 raids, you're going to have to switch classes. So it's important to have that conversation with yourselves, your alliance, and what lanes you're going to be in, because you're probably going to want to lock in some of these characters at this ISO level as you bring them to 5, because the ISO cost, as we know, as demonstrated by my science, I know, where I brought multiple level 5s to do some testing here for you guys and determining the best overall ISO for the kit. And so it's going to come down to a lot. Now, so let's talk about characters that you probably should consider, and they have to be ones you use every day. We're going to talk about Thanos. Now, Thanos is probably the staple for a lot of people's roster. You're going to see I have him as Striker right now. I switch between Striker and Raider depending on the situation, and that's the problem. He'll probably be Healer when he's in Dark Dimension 4. I don't know yet. I haven't gotten in there with my Cosmic. I'm relatively close. If the Battle Pass was actually rewarded the right amount of credits, or currency, I would actually be able to get in there. As a matter of fact, I'll show you right now. With a total cost of 54, I would have Thanos ready to go for Dark Dimension 4. Now, the reason why we've been playing around with Stryker is, if you guys didn't notice on my latest video, at this level, with the team I have, we almost were able to kill Doom before he got a significant turn. Something to be aware of. So, a lot of fluctuation will be occurring as we prep for the next level here. Stay tuned. We're going to be making recommendations. Now, healer on Doc Ock, you guys may say why, but Doc Ock is actually really annoying as a healer. We brought level 5 skirmisher on, or striker on Emma because of her ability to remove or erase buffs. And then characters, like I said, characters that you're planning on using are having trouble with survivability. One thing I want to talk about is like Mordo for me. 7 red star. I'm taking him Dark Dimension 4. Already brought him in there. The level 4 is for the extra health. It is a survivability thing. I don't know if I can justify level 5. My supernatural works just fine. So a lot of what your level 5 is going to be subjective. So I see quite a few people with Black Order with their level 5 ISOs, and they're probably well worth the investment, especially seeing what they can do against Dr. Doom. Now, that's going to come down to how much investment level you really want to put in this team. There are tier 4s I probably don't recommend doing, but I know some of you guys with your 900k defenses have already invested in that. Have at it, have fun with the game. Ultimately, it's a game to have fun with. I'm hoping it works out for you. We'll talk about Sinister, obviously Sinister with the heals. This was substantially part of how I was able to breeze through Dark Dimension 4, but we were able to see characters without that level 5 actually get it done. So realistically, it's gonna be a choice, and these are gonna be the characters that you develop as you move on to the next levels here. So I'm gonna say this right now. When it comes down to level 5s, you want to select characters that you predict using in the harder raids, that you're using every day in the current raids, arena, or RTA objectives. Yes, I'm going to say RTA objectives, because we all know that the faster you get through those, the more fun you could have in the long run playing around with some different comps. So you'll see that I only brought up my symbiotes, still a good choice from the fact that they are a staple for my U7 team, but they don't have to be dot 5. And I'm going to talk about a character here that I just recently brought to 5 and I did some testing on. His ult is pretty broken. So when he gets that extra crit chance from the Raider kit, he does some amazing things. So pretty cool character overall. So characters that are going to have a mechanic-specific outcome are characters that you might want to consider. Now, I do not recommend this for a lot of folks, because Longshot still doesn't have a full team developed. However, if you're having fun with him and you can make the justification, the science behind it is going up from level 3 to level 5. He does a significant amount of damage when you talk about the multipliers on the team. All right, so moving on. A couple of key warnings. Bringing Domino to level 5 from early testing and early results doesn't keep her alive anymore. Don't bother. So unless you're gonna we'll have to see, because I'm wondering how much better Fortifier gets at this next ISO 2, or if they revamp some of these. And I'm a little concerned that without knowing what the revamp will entail, that you could be investing in characters that may not be touched by a rework or a revamp, as level 2 takes on a whole new level of skills. So only do it on characters you use every day. Make sure it's substantial to your roster, and you won't make the mistake. Now, ions are a big deal. Your ion cost, if you have multiple level 5s, you've probably run into an ion shortage. If you haven't, well, good for you. But more importantly, be prepared for the idea that you may be switching these classes so they become more costly to bring them up to level 5. But remember that if it's something for survivability, you may not need to bring it past level 4. So something to consider, taking a character from level 5 Raider to level 5 Healer probably isn't needed. You can probably get away with level 4 because of the health bonuses there. So something to consider when you are making those changes to try to help you save some of your ISOs. It's really easy. I do it all the time to click on the level 5, just power it up because, you know, you want the max ability, but it doesn't need to function at that full ability with the healer. So remember that. That is something I want to impress upon you, that if you are making changes, you don't necessarily have to maximize the class if you're ISO switching. So ISO switching is a thing. And we've been trying to prepare you guys for it for a while. It is going to be something for the harder difficulty of the Greek raids, and more importantly for DD4 that you may need to do to help push you through some of these nodes. Anyway, I do things so you guys don't have to, and that includes a lot of ISO switching. That includes a lot of testing in here, and so the restraints are off. Go for some of your ISO 5s, because with the springtime right around the corner, it's time to consider bringing up your roster. See you guys next time.